Your softness is not your weakness, it's your strategy. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to start by thanking you for being here today, for showing up, for making space in your life to listen, to reflect, and maybe, just maybe, to begin questioning some of the stories you've been told about what it means to be strong. I recently had the honor of sitting down with Charmaine Reid, a visionary leader whose work is quietly revolutionizing how Black professionals and entrepreneurs think about success, peace, and power. Charmaine is someone who has dedicated her life to helping high achieving Black women step out of survival mode and into something softer, something more sustainable, something that honors both their ambition and their humanity. Her insights have transformed countless lives. And today, I want to share some of what I learned from our conversation because I believe it has the power to shift how we all think about leadership, boundaries, and what it truly means to thrive. Charmaine is not just a coach or consultant. She is a movement builder. She is creating pathways for Black women to reclaim their peace without sacrificing their purpose, to build empires without burning out, and to redefine what success looks like when it is rooted in wholeness instead of hustle. Her work is making the world a better place by giving Black women permission to be both powerful and soft, ambitious and at peace. Let me ask you something. When you think about a successful Black professional or entrepreneur, what image comes to mind? Maybe it's someone who's always on, always available, always grinding, someone who wears exhaustion like a badge of honor, someone who sacrifices sleep, relationships, joy, all in the name of proving they belong, proving they're worthy, proving they can handle it all. We've been taught that this is what strength looks like, that if you're not constantly hustling, you're falling behind. That rest is a luxury you can't afford, that boundaries are selfish, that choosing peace means you're not serious about your success. But here's what Charmaine helped me see and what I want to share with you today. Choosing peace is not passive. It is not selfish. It is not weak. Choosing peace is a strategic, radical leadership decision that directly impacts your success as a Black professional or entrepreneur. Let me say that again. Your capacity to build wealth, lead teams, innovate, and sustain success is directly tied to how intentionally you protect your peace, redefine family and loyalty, and release environments that harm you, even when those environments look like home, community, or tradition. This is not about self care as a side project. This is about understanding that your nervous system is part of your business infrastructure. When you normalize chaos at home, in your relationships, or in your work culture, you pay for it in burnout, poor decisions, health issues, and installed growth. Choosing peace is a strategic move that protects your mind and your body and your bag. Now, why I know some of you might be thinking, but I don't have the luxury of choosing peace. I have bills to pay. I have people depending on me. I have a business to run. I can't just step back. And I hear you. I really do. But let me share a story that might shift your perspective. Myleik Teal is a Black woman entrepreneur who founded Curlbox, one of the most recognized subscription services in the natural hair market. Before Curlbox, Myleik worked in public relations and marketing, navigating the demands of corporate expectations and the beauty industry. She saw firsthand how Black women's needs were often sidelined, how the strong Black woman narrative kept so many of her peers overworked and undersupported. When she launched Curlbox, she poured everything into it. She was building a brand, scaling a business, and navigating the pressures of being the strong Black woman everyone expected her to be. She overfunctioned. She took on too much. She tied her identity tightly to being constantly productive. She was visible, she was growing, and she was drowning. And she burned out, not just tired, not just stressed, burned. out. The kind of burnout that makes you question everything, the kind that makes you wonder if success is even worth it, if it costs you your health, your joy, your peace. So Myleik made a decision that many people questioned. She started setting firm boundaries around her time, her access, and how she engaged on social media. She intentionally prioritized rest, travel, and personal joy, even when others misunderstood those choices. Even when people said she was being selfish, even when they said she was abandoning her community, she shifted from constant grind to strategic, spacious work, focusing on high impact decisions and delegating more. She used her podcasts and public platforms to normalize therapy, rest, and saying no as part of Black women's leadership and entrepreneurial journeys. And you know what happened? Curlbox didn't fall apart. It thrived. It maintained longevity in a competitive space. Myleik built a loyal audience of Black women who followed not just her business, but her philosophy on living fully, setting boundaries, and refusing to be consumed by work. Her story shows us something powerful. Choosing peace and boundaries is not a step away from success, it is a step towards sustainable, aligned success. But here's the part that really gets me. Myleik didn't just change her business, she changed the narrative. She helped a generation of Black women entrepreneurs see that they could be ambitious and soft at the same time. That softness, peace, and boundaries are not in competition with ambition. They are the infrastructure that allows ambition to be sustainable. Over time, and through both burnout and reflection, Myleik restructured her life so that peace, travel, and joy were non negotiable, not rewards she had to earn. She became a trusted voice on boundaries, money, and lifestyle design among Black women entrepreneurs. Her transparency around rest, boundaries, and redefining success for herself has influenced thousands of Black women who now see that they can build wealth and protect their peace at the same time. Now let's talk about something that might make some of you uncomfortable. Family, loyalty, support. We've been taught that blood is thicker than water, that you stand by your family no matter what. That loyalty means never walking away, even when staying is killing you. But here's what Charmaine helped me understand. Relatives and family are not always the same thing. Blood does not automatically equal safety, loyalty, or love. As a Black leader, you are allowed to step back from people, institutions, or expectations, even in your own community, that sabotage your growth. You can build a chosen family of mentors, collaborators, and friends who treat you with respect, care, and emotional safety. This is not about abandoning your roots. This is about protecting your purpose. Let me give you some data to back this up. Research from leanin.org and McKinsey and Company's Women in the Workplace reports has consistently shown that Black women face unique pressures at work. This is the largest study of women in corporate America conducted annually since 2015. Over time, the data showed that Black women consistently reported some of the lowest levels of support and highest levels of bias, even as they demonstrated high ambition and leadership. They are more likely to experience microaggressions, to have their competence questioned, to have their judgment second guessed. They are often expected to serve as their team's caregivers, mentoring, supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts, and doing emotional labor without recognition or compensation. This leads to higher levels of burnout and isolation, especially for Black women in senior roles. But here's what the research also found. Black women who set clearer boundaries around unpaid emotional labor and after hours expectations, who joined or created employee resource groups and networks of other Black professionals for community and chosen family at work, who sought therapy, coaching, or affinity groups outside of work to process racialized stress and avoid internalizing workplace harm, who became more selective about which companies they worked for, prioritizing those with real commitments to racial equity and psychological safety. These women reported feeling more supported and more likely to stay in advance. Organizations that proactively supported Black women leaders through sponsorship, fair promotion practices, and safe reporting mechanisms benefited from better retention and more inclusive cultures. The data helped shift the conversation from Black women just need to be more resilient to organizations must stop exploiting Black women's resilience and build cultures that honor their humanity. Protecting your peace with boundaries and chosen community is not a personal indulgence. It is a necessary response to systemic pressure and a pathway to sustainable leadership. Stories from Black women leaders in the report highlighted that without boundaries and external support, many considered leaving or did leave corporate roles altogether. These reports brought national attention to the structural issues affecting Black women in leadership, providing data to back up lived experiences. The narratives of Black women leaders featured in and around the report have helped normalize therapy, boundary setting, and community care as survival tools in corporate life. This body of research has pressured companies to re examine how they treat Black women and has empowered Black professionals to demand cultures that honor their peace and dignity. Now, I want to talk about something that doesn't get enough attention in professional and entrepreneurial spaces: therapy, healing, mental health. For too long, Black women have been told to be strong, to carry it all, to never let anyone see us struggle. And for too long, we've paid the price in our bodies, our minds, and our spirits. The Loveland Foundation, founded by Black woman activist and writer Rachel Cargle, provides therapy support for Black women and girls. Rachel founded the organization after publicly raising funds to help Black women access therapy. Recognizing how many were carrying trauma and stress without support, the overwhelming response showed how deep the need was, especially among Black women who are juggling careers, businesses, and caregiving and systemic racism. It was created because Black women disproportionately face barriers to mental health care due to cost, stigma, lack of culturally competent providers, and the expectation to be strong. For Black professionals and entrepreneurs, unaddressed trauma, chronic stress, and emotional exhaustion show up as burnout, difficulty setting boundaries, and self sacrificing work patterns. The Loveland Foundation created the Loveland Therapy Fund, which offers financial assistance for Black women and girls seeking therapy, afraid, connecting them with culturally competent providers. The organization openly talks about rest, healing, and softness as necessary for Black women's thriving, not optional luxuries. By normalizing therapy and investing specifically in Black women's mental health, it creates infrastructure that indirectly supports their leadership and entrepreneurial journeys. Hundreds of Black women and girls have received therapy support through grants, allowing them to access consistent mental health care they might not otherwise afford. Many recipients report improved emotional regulation, better boundary setting, and greater clarity in their personal and professional lives. The Loveland Foundation has become a widely recognized resource in conversations about Black women, healing, and mental health. The foundation established a sustainable, ongoing fund dedicated specifically to Black women's and girls therapy. It built partnerships with therapists and organizations committed to culturally competent care. It helped shift public discourse toward understanding therapy as a tool of liberation, not shame, for Black women. By directly resourcing Black women's healing, the Loveland Foundation helps them show up more whole as leaders, founders, community builders, and visionaries. This underscores a core message I want to leave you with today. Healing, therapy, and emotional support are not separate from your professional and entrepreneurial life. They are what allow you to choose peace and design a soft, sustainable path forward. Boundaries, healing, and rest are leadership practices, not side projects. Therapy, coaching, or support groups, and spiritual or community care are not extra. They are how you break cycles of overfunctioning, people pleasing, and generational trauma so you can lead with clarity and joy. Saying no, limiting access, and designing your work life around your values are all ways of stepping into soft, sustainable success instead of repeating harmful patterns in more expensive clothes or bigger offices. So let me bring this all together. We live in a world that has taught Black professionals and entrepreneurs that struggle is proof of strength, that overwork is proof of commitment, that chaos is just the cost of success. But what if that's not true? What if your softness, your peace, and your boundaries are not in competition with your ambition, but are actually the infrastructure that allows your ambition to be sustainable? What if choosing peace is not a luxury, but a power strategy? What if redefining family, loyalty, and support to protect your purpose is not betrayal, but wisdom? What if boundaries, healing, and rest are not side projects, but leadership practices? This is the shift Charmaine Reid is helping Black professionals and entrepreneurs make. And this is the shift I'm inviting you to make today. Because here's the truth: peace is a power strategy, not a luxury. As Black professionals and entrepreneurs, your nervous system is part of your business infrastructure. When you normalize chaos, you pay for it in burnout, poor decisions, health issues, and stalled growth. Choosing peace is a strategic move that protects your mind, your body, and your bag. You are allowed to redefine family, loyalty, and support to protect your purpose. You can build a chosen family of mentors, collaborators, and friends who treat you with respect, care, and emotional safety. And boundaries, healing, and rest are leadership practices, not side projects. They are how you break cycles and lead with clarity and joy. So here's what I want to challenge you with today. I want you to stop for a moment and ask yourself this question: what would my life look like if I stopped wearing exhaustion as a badge of honor? What would my business look like if I led from a place of peace instead of panic? What would my relationships look like if I chose people who honored me instead of people who needed me? And then I want you to do something radical. I want you to choose one thing, just one, that you will release this week in order to protect your peace. One boundary you will set, one conversation you will limit, one expectation you will let go of, one space you will step back from. Write it down, commit to it, and notice how your body, your spirit, and your work respond. Because the truth is, you deserve peace. You deserve softness. You deserve success that doesn't cost you your health, your joy, or your humanity. And choosing that is not weak. It is the most powerful thing you can do. It is how you stop surviving and start thriving. It is how you build a legacy that doesn't require you to sacrifice yourself. It is how you become the leader, the entrepreneur, the human being you were always meant to be. So I'm asking you today, will you choose peace? Will you protect your softness? Will you build a life that honors all of who you are? Because the world needs your brilliance, but it needs you whole. It needs you rested. It needs you leading from a place of clarity and joy, not chaos and exhaustion. Your softness is not your weakness, it is your strategy. And it's time we all started living like we believe that. Thank you.